The Los Angeles Clippers are looking like a pretty dangerous team in the NBA right now, but my biggest question is it going to be able to go ahead and translate in this year's playoffs? As I'm making this video, the Clippers currently have a 32-15 record and they're third place in the Western Conference, but as you guys know, in the playoffs, the Clippers, they don't get it done. They have never won an NBA championship before and they start struggling in the playoffs, but could this be the year that they finally get over the hump? That James Harden trade, it's looking immaculate for them. And I'm here today to go ahead and break it all down. I know it's been a while since I made a basketball video, but we are here. Now, before I get into it, make sure to like and subscribe. It's very much appreciated. And let's start off with this James Harden trade and what is really done for the Clippers. James Harden requested a trade all offseason. There were rumors about James Harden getting traded to the Clippers. It sounded like the Clippers really wanted Harden. And my biggest thing was, if the Clippers were to go ahead and trade for James Harden, would it really work out? Because like I said in multiple videos before, the NBA Big Three style ball really hasn't really worked anymore in the NBA. If you look at the past teams that have won championships, they've all been homegrown teams, and just trading for superstars, that strategy doesn't really work anymore. So I was like, well, we're gonna see how this goes for the Los Angeles Clippers. And at the beginning of the year, James Harden was still on the Sixers. He didn't play a couple games, and then all of a sudden Shams and Woj would go ahead and drop the bomb saying that Harden had been traded to the Los Angeles Clippers. In the trade, the Sixers would go ahead and receive Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, Robert Covington, KJ Martin, a 2028 unprotected first round pick, 2 second round picks, a pick swap, and a first round pick from a third team. And the Los Angeles Clippers would go ahead and receive James Harden, PJ Tucker, and Flip. So when James Harden got to LA, to start off, it was not looking like a good trade for the Clippers. The Clippers were losing games and Harden was not playing well and things looked bad. But you know what? Things really started to heat up and the Clippers started to win games and Harden started balling out. This season, James Harden has averaged 16 points per game, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, which is 5th in the NBA on 44% field goal shooting. Now, as you guys can see, Harden's scoring has dropped. He hasn't been scoring as much as he did in Philly and Houston, but honestly, that's not a bad thing for him because the Clippers are winning games. James Harden doesn't have to take on that role where he just has to go ahead and score all the time. He's going ahead and making plays and being that playmaker that the Clippers need. The Clippers truly needed a true number 1 point guard and they got that guy. Since James Harden hasn't been doing all the scoring in LA, the two guys named Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have been doing that this year. Kawhi Leonard this season has averaged 24.6 rebounds, 3 assists on 53% field goal shooting. He's had a great season. Kawhi Leonard has always been one of the best players in the NBA. He's a great guy, great player, but here's the huge thing for Kawhi this year, which made him so talked about and why the Clippers have been winning a lot of games this year. As I'm recording this video, Kawhi has played 43 games. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard is actually playing basketball games and he's not been sitting out. He's been healthy and he's been playing some great basketball. Which, like I said, this has been a huge reason why the Clippers have been so dominant, because Kawhi Leonard has been playing a ton of games. And let's also talk about this cold man right here named Paul George. Paul George this season has averaged 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists on 46% field goal shooting. Paul George, he's also been a great player for this Clipper team. He's also one of the best in the NBA. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have both made all-star teams this year, and they've both been just balling out, and both have been really good pieces on this Clipper team. Those three are definitely the main stars of this Clipper team, and as they should be, because these guys right here are some ballers and there's some great players in the NBA. But don't get me wrong, these guys are the main show, the main stars, but the Clippers also have some other great guys. We're going to talk about that second unit that the Clippers have. Terrence Mann, I know he's in the starting lineup. We're going to go ahead and talk about him. Russell Westbrook and Norman Powell, because these guys are some great guys. Future Hall of Famer Russell Westbrook this year has averaged 11 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists on 47% field goal shooting. Now he's not putting up some insane OKC stats and he's not starting, but you know what? Russell Westbrook has actually done a great job coming off the bench. And they also got a guy named Norman Powell, which I don't know how they were able to go ahead and keep Terrence Mann and Norman Powell in that James Harden trade, but they somehow did. Norman Powell this year has averaged 13 points on 49% field goal shooting, just like the same thing as Russell Westbrook. He's another great guy coming off the bench who's been pretty good for the Clippers. Last year he's in consideration for 6th man of the year, and I think this year he will be too. Like I said, another great player that the Clippers have. Terrence Mann, he's averaging 7 points. He's not doing too much for the Clipper team. And then at that center position, they got Zubac, which is a guy that can go ahead and get you a double-double most nights, and they also got Plumlee to go ahead and back him up. Now, the Clippers are actually kind of lucky that they have 2 decent centers. I know this isn't about the Clippers, but as me being a Bucks fan, our center situation is kind of cooked as we saw in that game versus Dallas, but we still won. But, like I said, This Clipper team is very well put together. I think that's another reason why I think this Clipper team is so dangerous in the NBA, just because they have such a well put together roster and they got some great stars on the team. And then of course, to go ahead and coach this team up, they got one of the most respected coaches in the NBA, I would say, with Tyronn Lue. You know, the guy who coached LeBron, came back from 3-1, that guy. Tyronn Lue, he's a great coach. Sometimes he does have his nights and his questionable moments, I hear from Clipper fans, but I would say he's a well-respected coach in the NBA. The Clippers, like I said, they're currently 3rd in the Western Conference. I broke down their roster. They got a well-balanced roster. They got some guys. They got a great coach. Now let's answer the question I asked at the beginning of the video. Do I think this success from the Clippers is going to be able to continue into the playoffs? I think there's a chance that it is, but there's also some factors in there that will determine that. Health is going to be a huge factor for this Clipper team. I know everyone is healthy right now, but that needs to continue. Because as we saw last year, when Kawhi Leonard got hurt in the playoffs, the Clippers just all around fell apart and lost to Phoenix. So they're definitely going to need everyone to stay healthy, because Kawhi Leonard has an injury history, James Harden has an injury history, and Paul George has an injury history. They all do. But if this continues and they continue to play good basketball and they continue to play healthy, they should be fine. But that is probably my biggest concern with this Clipper team. As long as they stay healthy, they should be good. And as long as they perform well in the playoffs too, as long as everyone's healthy, playing good basketball, the Clippers should be a pretty dangerous team to go ahead and face in this year's NBA playoffs. And I really think it's going to be interesting to see how far they can make it, because honestly, they could potentially make it to the Western Conference Finals this year. I would not be surprised whatsoever, especially if everyone stays healthy. Maybe a shot at the NBA Finals, but I don't want to hype them up too much, but as of right now, I wouldn't be surprised. They're playing some great basketball and doing some great things. But I also want to point at one other thing with this Clipper team being the future of it, because they have some contract situations coming up this offseason, which they're going to have to talk a lot about and figure out what they're going to do. Now, Kawhi Leonard already signed his 3-year extension during the season. He's going to be here for a while. He might end up retiring a Clipper. Paul George has a player option next year, and then after that, he's going to go ahead and be a free agent. And then after this year, James Harden's also an unrestricted free agent, so they're definitely going to have some concerns about that, especially if they want to go ahead and run bit back with this team. But that's going to be a lot of money they're going to have to spend. That's why I think this year is so important for the Clippers. If they have championship aspirations, this might be the year that they truly want to go ahead and go push for it. Because I feel like the Clippers are somehow going to find some way that they can keep Paul George and they can pay James Harden. Somehow they're going to find some way to go ahead and do it. But it's just that everyone getting older in age. If there was ever a time for the Clippers to go make a run for it, it would be this year while they still have a chance. Yeah, I really think this Clipper team is a pretty dangerous team. Like I said, they got some great players. They got a great coach. And if there was ever a year for the Clippers to go ahead and make a run at it, it would have to be this year. They got the talent on the team, they got the players, they got everything I feel like they need to go ahead and be a championship contender this year. I know some people might clown on me in the comments just because the Clippers are cursed and somehow every year they sell the bag in the playoffs, but could be the year that the Clippers finally get over the hump and make a run for it. I know the Western Conference is tough. There's some teams in there like OKC, Minnesota, Denver, Sacramento. There's some tough teams in there, but I think the Clippers truly have a chance to go ahead and make a run for it this year, and they're a dangerous team in the NBA. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. It is very much appreciated, and I'm back to making NBA content. I know I took a break for a little bit with the NFL. I made a ton of NFL content, but you know what? NFL is pretty much over, so it's time to go ahead and talk about some basketball once again. And I'm pretty excited for it, guys. So like I said, you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe, very much appreciated, and I will see you guys in the next one.